Welcome to the Off the Road Again podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Ross.
And I'm Shaun.
And this is our podcast about anything and everything off-road. Very excited for what we're about to talk about tonight. So as usual, we're socially distanced. It's the only way we've ever done the podcast. We did it way before it was mandated. Ross is in the Northeast. I'm in the Midwest. And Shaun's in Canada and British Columbia. So he's about as far away as he can get from Ross.
In North America, yeah.
That means the
jungle you got there.
That means the spy balloon flew over him too.
Sure.
Because it went from Alaska to get to Montana, so it had to go through BC.
Let's not go there.
Man, I sure hope not, because I would hate for that thing to pick up on my conversations.
Yeah.
My favorite part is like, it's a weather balloon.
Confused, like, what is this guy talking about?
Why a V8? What? I don't understand. Yeah.
Seriously.
So, Ross,
going back to the Chinese vehicles.
Yeah. We don't have any Chinese vehicles to talk about. Everything that you're about to discuss is American made. So
yes. First of all, brief Yukon Denali review-ish. So spent a week with the Yukon Denali Ultimate. It had the 6.2 and it was, what did we say it was as tested? 97 or 98?
So much money.
Yeah, it's a big number. Okay. Yukon,
I thought it was $100,000.
It's
I thought it was like 109 you were telling me.
No, not that much.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a Yukon. They drive great. Super Cruise is very good. The 6.2 is good. It's a good truck, you know. It's the most luxurious family haul you're going to get from GM, short of an Escalade. And the only thing I'll say about it is that Ultimate package, and Chris, I know we've talked about this a bunch of time when I had the Sierra 1500 Ultimate, but the Ultimate package, like with the etched topographic maps and everything, is just silly and needless. So, pro tip: I think if you're looking to spend $85,000 on a Yukon, don't get the Ultimate because you don't need it.
Well, and I feel like, didn't Jeff tell us like he's got a buddy who like goes through Denali after Denali after Denali,
Mm-hmm.
and he ordered a new one. And Jeff was like, "Did you get the Ultimate?" And he's like, "No, I'm not paying that much."
Right.
Like, he's already spending a crap ton of money on just the Denali, but
yeah, and it doesn't. You don't really get anything of substance over a normal Denali, normal Denali, quote unquote.
Right.
So, anyways, so that was here, that left, and today the Ram Rebel 2500 showed up. So spending a week with that, and it is kind of an overlap between like Power Wagon and Cummins powered 2500, and it has the diesel, and it's got a column shifter, and it has the flip up center bench seat, with the low tunnel and just some rubber over the center, and it is not small.
It's a nice looking truck.
It is a nice looking truck.
I didn't realize it had the diesel.
Do you do truck reviews? Is that
yes? Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Part of the podcast and website Hooniverse writing and whatnot is cool. Writing car and truck reviews. So yeah, so the Rebel's here for a week. I wish I was planning to do something that would actually, test its ability, but realistically, I'm probably just going to drive it around a bit. It's not really good. I wonder how much it weighs. I had the TRX, and like at the time, a bunch of the videos were coming out, like the guys at Everyday Driver, who I'd also contribute to, they had jumped the TRX. I don't know if this one would be as friendly on the landing side of things.
Did they jump the TRX or happen to drive off a ledge and the TRX kind of came down hard on the nose?
Yes.
That's what I thought it was. There's a chance that was telling us about it. He was like, yeah, we didn't really jump it, but we definitely dented the skid plate.
Yep. And Todd, when he had Todd on, he was like, something happened that we can't really talk about yet. So yeah, so the Rebels here, curious to see how it is compared to like Power Wagon. But yeah, other than that, I have no personal vehicle updates. The Lexus is doing Lexus things. And
as in everything's functioning correctly the way it should be. You've added
everything.
Stuff.
Yeah, everything is fun. The remote start is functioning perfectly. It is desperately in need of an adventure. So I'm eyeing a weekend, possibly in March, to get out of the woods once once life calms down a little bit and I get back into the swing of the school
What's this?
stuff. So
What's this life
luck.
calming down stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, what is this?
dude, oh yeah, I know.
Been waiting
I
for
know.
that for years.
Exactly.
It is chaos here. So yeah,
And
that's
you
it on my
added a
side.
kid to the equation, so that's never going to change. Like,
Yeah, yeah. So, but I got some other possibly fun stuff coming up with a power sports manufacturer. So we'll talk about
good.
that in the future.
Well, the only update I have is I've gotten closer to putting more armor on the Sequoia. Shaun, we got invited to an overland trip out in Moab in late March, early April. And so Ross's truck is way too far away to drive to Moab.
Maybe not by Shaun's standards, but by by my standards.
I'm going to be there during that time too.
Oh, are you?
Well, he's got a Jeep and it's Easter Jeep Safari time, early April. So
yeah, I'm going to be from like late March until mid-April. I'm going to be in Moab for like 3 weeks, I think.
Oh, the dream.
Okay. So I'll definitely make sure to give you. We'll trade cell numbers.
You'll cross paths. Yeah,
So we can get together.
Yeah, we'll figure something out there. But I have a front skid plate in my shopping cart right now. I need to complete my invoice and everything. So front engine skid plate, transmission and transfer case skid plate, fuel tank skid plate, and a set of weld-on sliders. And then I think we're going to do some bumper trimming, which is always fun.
Yes.
On my wife's daily driver.
Mm-hmm.
What vehicle is this?
It's a 2008 Sequoia.
Okay.
So second gen Sequoia. It's the first year of the second gen. It's got the automatic height adjustable.
Oh, it has
the
AHC. I
AHC.
didn't realize that.
Yeah, it has AHC. Hey, that can buy me 2 inches when I'm out there, Russ.
That's the thing where it adjusts for like aerodynamics depending on your speed.
No, not for speed. It's got the control in it for like damper settings. So from like sport to a middle to a comfort.
Sport in a Sequoia.
Comfort gets super floaty, where if you're when I hit the mountains, I put it in sport, so at least there's less body roll as I'm going around like the mountain roads, especially I-70 through Colorado. And it's made that trip from Kansas City out to the exit on 70. We didn't go to Moab on the Utah trip. We went down to Kanab and like Zion and Bryce, north rim of the Grand Canyon, and what was east, the Grand Staircase Escalante.
Mm-hmm.
So the truck's been to Utah before, but just not at the time. It had the stock rims and highway tires on it. So now it's got all terrains. It's got some TRD wheels on it. Tundra TRD wheels, not the TRD Pro wheels that everybody else runs.
5 lug, not 6 lug.
I had a
it's 6.
2022 Grand Cherokee for a loaner from the dealership while my truck was getting some work done. I'm driving down the highway and all of a sudden it goes, "You have reached optimal aerodynamic ride height," and then it has like this
Lowers
adjustment depending how fast you're going. I was okay. That's cool.
Yep, I'll take it.
Ross, you're right. It's 5.
It is 5. I know.
Yeah, my
This
brain
is
farted.
Tundra. It's the same as Tundra.
Yeah, Tundra and Sequoia are 5 lugs. Tacomas and 4Runners are 6 lugs.
Correct. And Lexus GXs. Because they're
It's
all
like-
the same thing.
I would say it's like they use the same parts over and over again. So.
Almost like Toyota is good at that.
So is Porsche, but that's a different animal.
Yeah, we don't have that kind of money.
Well, sweet. Let's talk about Shaun stuff because we're boring.
Shaun, welcome. Shaun's done some cool shit.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Why don't you give the audience your elevator pitch? We like to just have a quick brief so everybody can get to know you real quick.
Sure. My name's Shaun, and I'd like to tell people I'm a professional adventurer. I go out and go to places that are hard to get to or that other people can't or won't go to whenever possible. And I like big trucks.
Oh my gosh, yes, you do.
Like big trucks and I cannot lie. And
I was gonna go there, but I held back.
Oh, we don't hold back here. So yeah, Shaun's here from Story Till Now, YouTube channel and on other social mediums. So why don't you tell us a little about yourself first? How did you get into off-roading? Like, is this a lifelong thing you've done, or did you find it and just jump in with all appendages?
No, not at all. Not a lifelong thing. I lived in Japan for like 5 years, not that long ago. And when I came back, I didn't really know what I was going to do. And I wasn't, really close with a lot of friends that I'd been close with before I left, because obviously, we'd been living on other continents.
Yeah.
So, a good friend of mine, his name's Curtis. We used to work together. He hit me up like literally the moment I got back, was like, "Hey, let's go camping this weekend." And I was like, "All right, let's go." And when I got back, I wanted to buy a car, so I picked up a Mazda Miata.
Nice. Well done. Which
like,
what Miata? I've had two and driven probably 200.
they're super fun, but they're tiny. They're like
I
the
don't
worst
fit in them.
camping vehicle because there's no storage space for gear.
Yep.
So I would load up like the passenger seat with like gear with the roof down, and it would be packed up to like the windshield with like a barbecue and all this stuff. And he took me up this forestry road like 20 kilometers on the dirt with like all these potholes, and me in like this lowered sports car. It was like the worst possible vehicle to take up this road. But we started going like every weekend. I got super hooked on going like backcountry camping. And then I was just trashing this car. And one day he said, "Why don't you just go on Craigslist and get like a Ford Explorer for $1,000 or something, and it'll be like your camping vehicle." And then I went down the rabbit hole of like low cost off road vehicles, and I landed on like I spent like $3,000 on a '99 Jeep Cherokee. It was like
perfect. Yep.
Had like a 2.5-inch lift and 31s, I think.
Okay. And that'll go a lot of places, actually. People always forget about that.
Yeah. And from there, like I was like, okay, what else can I do with this now? And I started like looking up all the, the off-roading clubs, and I joined our local off-road group, the 4-Wheel Drive Association of BC. And they have a magazine. And hey, there it is.
Nice. Chris, excellent production.
That was amazing.
Good job. Okay, so it was a 2-door too. Good job.
Yeah, and this is like what it looked like when I got it. This is like got to be one of the first trips I ever went on with. This is before I did any modifications to it. It came like that with the side all like crumpled, and it didn't roll.
Life.
So but I loved this thing. This thing was my baby.
What year was this?
This would be 2015, I want to say.
Holy shit! You've really things have really snowballed for you. Yeah, seriously. Okay, so you started.
I started going out with like I started joining like group runs to go out. There was a like a local Jeep club that I hooked up with and went out for some runs. And I think this is probably like my first ever snow run right here. I've got chains on like a dummy. And my cheap, like I think these lights I put on the bumper, the round lights there, are like $20 at the local hardware store, and I thought I was really cool. And this roof rack actually fell off, like
nice.
It from going off camber, and the weight of the spare tire up there, it came like this. I never used the spare. It came like, I don't think that spare is even the same size as the tires that are on there. But I remember like on this, I think it was on this run, we were like on this off camber section, and the mounts just like crumpled and the racks
fell my God.
The thing was a piece of crap, but it was amazing. And I went on some pretty epic adventures with it, and it just like kind of spiraled from there. So that's my
okay.
Your origin story.
You got the bug, and the bug bit.
How did you find those pictures? That's amazing.
Well, that's what happens after we do 150 shows.
It's all about your Google search terms. So there's quite a bit of it.
That's actually my buddy's XJ. But same trip. Yeah.
So based on where I'm digging these out of, there's a Flickr account somewhere that's got your name tied to it. So
nice. I'm scared of what might be on there that people are going to find now.
Well, and then I've got some like crossover. There's a wedding photographer, I think, who spells his name the same as you. So
interesting.
Yeah,
gets weird real fast. Who are these people?
Really good photographer with a name like that.
So in Japan, did you get into the JDM stuff at all? Like
no, I wasn't really. wasn't really into the car scene at all over there, but I have have a friend who is like a JDM YouTuber over there. His name is
Okay.
I don't know, you might have seen his channel. It's called Albo. He used to be called Drift Hunter.
Oh,
He does like all
Drift
the
Drift Hunter sounds familiar.
he does like all these
I
like
don't
kind of
know if
JDM car scene videos. But we didn't really work together, but we worked in like the same town. And so he's like a pretty big YouTuber now over there.
okay, we'll check him out. I mean, drifting is probably the most fun in a car that I've had. Not
I'd
going
love
with the
to
four
go
by
drifting
fours.
sometime. That'd be fun. Probably not in a Jeep, but I would
It's
love
fun.
to try it.
I know a guy actually who's got a two-door XJ that's a track monster.
That would
Kid you
be
not.
very appealing.
Yes. So, all right. So you got into the Jeep world, got into the wheeling world, and
Yeah.
then where did the idea to start a YouTube channel, document things, and then I mean, people who have watched your channel know that your your like niche is like pushing boundaries for what you and the vehicles can do in terms of elements and
Definitely.
trails. So how did that end up going?
It just kind of naturally happened, actually. Well, I mean, I've been into making videos since I was probably 16 years old. So I've been just filming stuff and putting it on the internet since like
Mhm.
when you had to download it over dial-up. So,
The good
but I
old
mean,
days.
I always just kind of did that for fun, and then life kind of took over and real jobs and stuff like that. And then I I really got interested in drones when like drones started becoming
Mhm.
really good. Like the first ones that came out with like the GoPros and they're all fisheye or kind of crappy.
Yeah.
But when
Yeah.
they started looking like cinematic, I was like, man, I really want to get back into video stuff. And so I thought my window, I was like, maybe I'll start a video production company and then I can buy all these cool toys.
Write
And
it off.
so I spent a bunch of money and I bought all this camera equipment, and then I did a few jobs. Like I started a business. I did like a music video, and I did some commercials, and I realized really quick that I hate making other people's stuff. It's so boring. Like I just
Yeah.
like even
Uh,
getting paid for it, I was like, this is dumb. I don't like this isn't fun for me. This is the music video was fun. The music video was really fun
I
because I
see
got
that.
to be creative on that.
Mhm.
But I really wanted like a creative outlet, not like just another job.
Right.
So then like that business just failed because I didn't like it. But then I had all this equipment, and so I had recently married my wife, and I said, hey, like, how would you feel if I just started filming our life and just putting it on the internet? I'd come off like a binge session of Casey Neistat, and I was like, I can do that, and so my first video is actually nothing to do with off-roading at all. It's my wife and I's
Hmm.
honeymoon, where we went to Thailand and China, and I walked on the Great Wall in sandals like an idiot.
Oh,
And
that's awesome. Dude,
my
people love travel stuff, like I
yeah.
mean,
Well, it's fun to film too because it's so interesting. But there's tons of travel stuff out there. But I think my second video was like an off-road trip, and then at the time I realized like this is when I was kind of at the peak of my interest in off-roading. And at that time, and I want to say this would have been 2017 or 2018, there was like no off-roading YouTube channels. There was Expedition Overland,
those
um,
guys. Yeah.
and and there's like Dirt Every Day,
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep.
and I don't know. There probably was other ones that I just wasn't aware of at the time. But not really like the popularity of where it is now, where like
Mhm.
everybody has an overlanding channel,
Right.
um, and it's named something Overland. But
God, just come up with any buzzword and attach overland to it, and it's a YouTube channel.
but yeah, I just kind of like identified this space on YouTube where there wasn't a lot of people doing it, and I realized that where I live, this environment, like it's like ripe for being filmed. Like it's just so picturesque and
Mhm.
Oh my
different.
gosh.
Yeah. And you've really leaned into the cinematography aspect of it.
Yeah, well, I love that part of it
The
too. So
drone
it's like
work
I
is
combined
crazy.
my two passions were like off-roading and filmmaking. And because like when I was in high school, I wanted to be a movie director. I wanted to go to film school. I wanted to be Steven Spielberg, right? But film school is expensive, and that just wasn't happening. So that I just kind of took a detour for like 20 years. But
Circle back, yeah.
yeah,
It happens. It happens.
I probably did like I did YouTube for like 2 years before any of my videos even got any attention really. And then I did this one video of one kind of it's my LJ. That was my third Jeep. I love that thing.
What was Jeep number 2?
Jeep number 2 was another XJ, but it was like a bucket of trash. I think I had it for maybe 2 months. I bought it for $500 because it was on 35s, and I was like, well, I'll just take the 35s and put them on my purple XJ there. And then we realized that the unibody was twisted on my XJ, and there was all sorts of problems with it. Probably needed a new motor. So then I was like, oh, I'll just fix up this $500 XJ. It was like a 1982 or something. It had a Chevy motor in it, I can't even remember what it was, but the thing was just like this mix match of parts, and it was junk. Like it was complete junk. We had to rebuild the motor, and it was so I painted it myself. I painted it red and black, and I'm sure you're gonna find a picture of it, aren't you?
I'm trying.
You probably will.
Yeah,
I don't know if this one was photoed.
So on like maybe my second trip out with it, and it was actually probably my second or third date with my wife, before she was my wife. I took her like 50 kilometers up this Forest Service road in it, and it kind of blew up and died, and we were in like 3 feet of snow. And nope, that's not it. That is a friend of mine's. Yeah, it blew up, and then my wife said she would never go off-roading with me again unless I got like a more reliable Jeep. So I ended up selling the Miata and the XJ and getting the LJ, which is the one that you had up there before.
LJ is best.
Yeah,
LJ is so good. That's an LJ Rubicon is like it's like a halo car for me. It's one I want. Now I get even more specific. The one I get even more specific is I want the movie edition Sahara from the movie Sahara.
Oh yeah. Oh, we've had this conversation.
Yes, we have.
Seen that. Is that
it is?
Yeah.
It's not even that good of an LJ, but it's just the one I want.
Yeah.
Nice. LJs are awesome. I miss that Jeep. I wanted to keep it when I got the Gladiator. I sold it because I needed money to build the Gladiator because I was very poor at the time. This is like that year. Yeah, so like I was saying, that picture that you just showed was actually from the first video that kind of blew up on my channel. And that was kind of the first one where I did like a voiceover narration and told like a coherent story with it, and then so that started going well. Yeah, that trip. And who's in my passenger seat? There's a ghost in there. Usually there's no one in my passenger seat. I think it's my friend's son. But yeah, so I sold it. I wanted to keep it, but I sold it because later that year when the Gladiator came out, I was like, I'm going to get one of those and have like one of the first built Gladiators, which is probably the best decision I've ever made in my life. I mean, marrying my wife was the best decision.
Yes, exactly.
But
for the channel,
it was the Gladiator.
Yeah, for the channel, it was the Gladiator. Yeah. So I guess we'll talk about the Gladiator, and then we'll go into some of the specific trip stuff that you've done. So the Gladiator.
Yeah. There it is.
Started life as a Rubicon. And what was your first round of mods? Because it also seems to have escalated very quickly.
Yeah, so we immediately did a 4.5-inch lift and put it on 37s, and just put a a rooftop tent on a half rack on the back, and that was pretty much and a winch, and it was go time.
Stock gears, no
Yeah,
other
for probably for like a year or two, I ran it on 37s on stock gears before I regeared it.
That's crazy. And then
because I didn't have money to regear it.
yeah, man, that's a lot. So all right, so you did that, and then there was some other stuff along the way, I'm sure, that got it to looking like the picture that Chris just brought up.
This is actually like, this is probably the first trip I took it out on. It is the first trip I took it out on after we lifted it. The snorkel was the other thing that we added like day one. So yeah, this, you can tell this is really early on because I have this stupid cell phone booster antenna that got ripped off. So I thought I was real smart with that one.
And that's, I mean, people have seen Gladiator builds go haywire over the last probably year, but I mean, for the listener, it's on, so 37s, ARB bumper. What
was
lights
the
were
date on
those?
that?
It says 169 weeks ago. So November 7th, 2019.
There we go. 20. Yeah. So that's literally like a month after Gladiators started hitting lots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there wasn't many out there like that.
And now that's kind of the norm for where people go with the Gladiator. I mean, and you're the expert.
It's where I think they look best.
Like you, if you go out around here, you see more Gladiators on the trail than almost anything other than Tacomas.
That's so interesting. And I mean, the general rule seems to be like you need 35s to help the breakover. And
yeah, I think 37's minimum on a Gladiator. If you any less than that, and you're wasting your time.
Biased a little, but
yeah, sorry.
so all right. So where did the snowball just like get kicked into orbit between this stage and the recent 426 Hemi stage?
Well,
that is a trajectory.
That was the end of 2019. So it's been how many years here? 2021, 2020. So it's been like 3 years since then. So I mean, I beat the crap out of that Gladiator, which is I owe a large portion of my following to doing that, because nobody was just like taking like a brand new Gladiator and running it through these tight trails where the branches are just like destroying the paint, and then driving through landslides and stuff. And so I beat the crap out of it. We like in, I don't know, last year sometime, we did some engine modifications that didn't really work out. And then one of my biggest sponsors, Epic Adventure Outfitters, started doing engine swaps. And we're just like, well, instead of swapping in like a Hemi into this beat up truck, why don't we just, trade it for a brand new one and put it in that? And then that's here we are.
So it's a crate engine, 426 crate engine.
Yeah, it's a 426 Hemi. So it's basically like, it's a 392 that's bored and stroked. So it's like it's like basically a 7-liter. So I mean, they call it a 426. I mean, I guess technically it's not like your traditional 426, but it's the same, it's basically the same kind of power.
So what are they quoted at for power?
606 horsepower, 575 pound-feet of torque.
Oh, so a little better at moving 37s.
Yeah. Well, it's on 40s. And,
even better.
We put 40s on it and Dana 60 axles. So it's pretty beefy.
Yeah. And Toyo MTs? Yeah,
Toyo MTs. I really like those tires. So I've been running them for a couple years now.
How are the highway manners? I work with Toyo, and I got 83s on my truck. Chris has 83s on the Sequoia. I mean, they're killer.
Yeah, no complaints at all. Like, they're fairly quiet as far as a mud terrain tire goes. I mean, you're not going to get completely quiet with a mud terrain, obviously. Right. But yeah, and they're as an all around tire for everything, they're probably my favorite tire that I've run.
Good to know. So how many miles or I guess kilometers do you have on the new truck, and how many did you run on the old truck before setting it free?
So the old truck had, I think, 90,000 kilometers. And
Okay.
sorry, I don't know miles. You can do
That's
your
okay.
uh,
That is
and
56-ish thousand miles.
yeah,
I
and
say
the
60.
new one is at 25,000 kilometers right now, and we put the engine in at 20,000.
Okay.
So pretty
All
much
right.
brand new motor, just junkyard.
Let it rip. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about the adventures now that we know the extent of the
Tools.
gladiator craziness. All right. So you've kind of explored all over, it seems, from the videos. So where have you gone? I mean, what's the furthest you've gone? Tell us some stories. I mean, what's the hardest trail that you've done? You know, I mean, the landslide videos are madness.
Yeah, I've been most of the say I've covered the most, like the lower half of British Columbia, which is a large area. Something like 90% of British Columbia is public land.
Oh, that's amazing.
And so there's just endless, and our biggest industries are like forestry. So there's tons of old forestry roads, mining roads, and they're all open to the public.
Right.
I've noticed when I go to the US, like it's a lot more kind of regulated about where you can go, but here we kind of have free reign over the public land, as long as we're not like out destroying off the trails and stuff, right?
Yep.
But yeah, so I've done a lot of exploring here, just mostly old forestry roads and mining roads. So those are my favorite places to go, where places that have a little bit of history, that maybe are overgrown and not many people go there, and or you can get really high up in elevation.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times what comes with those kind of roads is stuff like this on the screen here, where there's like washouts or landslides or stuff that you need to use your truck and your gear to get through, which makes for interesting video and fun times.
How much has your barometer changed for sketchy as as you've gotten
Crazy,
deeper
dude.
into this?
I don't think most stuff even registers on my scale anymore, which is scary because sometimes like my friends who I'm out with will be like flipping out over something, and I'll just be like, what?
Yeah.
Let's go. And but it's not good, because actually my I should be a little bit more nervous about some of the things that I do. We did so the hardest trail by far I've done is the Alexander Mackenzie Trail, which is here in British Columbia. And it's kind of a historical trail, where Alexander Mackenzie followed this trail with like a canoe and hiking and horses and stuff to get to the ocean, like across British Columbia. But it's very overgrown. It's very difficult to travel because there's a lot of deadfall, like trees. Every week there's like hundreds or thousands of trees that fall on this trail.
Crazy. And it's not, it seems like it's very, very lightly traveled at best.
Yeah, so there's maybe one or two groups that do it a year now, and that's just because it's become more popular due to the internet, right? As being a difficult trail. And on that one, we were following a GPS route on the trail, and the signs that there's these little markers on the trees. Hey, there it is. It's the Blackwater River crossing, which is probably one of the craziest water crossings on a trail in BC. Yeah, we're following these trail markers around the tree, these little diamond markers, and the GPS route differed from these trail markers, and the GPS route went on this like graded dirt road that was super smooth, and the little trail markers went off on this little side trail, and we're like, oh, side trail looks way more fun. Right. So of course we followed the trail markers and like ignored the GPS route that's like what most people do.
Yeah.
And we got to this section that was super, super off camber, and we're walking it. And, the first truck that got up there is like on an angle like this, sitting
Yeah,
there, and we're like, I don't know about this. Like the trail's barely wide enough for a truck. It looked like a quad trail, and we're walking it, and we're like, hey, there's like a cross on the ground here, like somebody died here. And we look down, and there's the truck like upside down in the river at the bottom of this cliff that we're on the edge of, because it rolled, because the road's so skinny and it's so narrow. And so of course we're like, nah, let's give it a try.
And the thing about that video too is like everybody who's ever been off-roading knows that stuff never shows up as bad on picture or video as it is in person ever.
Yeah.
Like never, ever, ever. So
It's bad in
seeing
that video, doesn't it?
yes, but even seeing that, like, and knowing that it's worse than what we're seeing is like I would want nothing to do with that. That's
Yeah.
past where my limit ends.
I actually made a note, like I mapped it out to add to Onyx Off Road, and I actually popped a waypoint at the fork and made a note: do not go this way.
That was bad.
Because it was a rough, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours we spent there getting the trucks through that, and it made for great entertainment, but it was high stress. Like by far the most stressful situation I've been in off-roading, because all of a sudden I was thinking about like, well, I'm responsible for these guys that I brought here to do this, and I'm like, let's do this, guys, and I'm holding the camera.
Yep.
And I was like, man, if anybody rolls their truck here, I'm gonna feel awful. And well, so are they.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was pretty sketchy. I mean, seeing how much the vehicles were leaning over and like knowing what was at the bottom is, I mean,
death was at the bottom. And
literal death.
I was driving it, and I was just like, first of all, I just wanted to get across it. So I was going a little faster than I should have been. I was just like, not so bad. And then I'm like, this is uncomfortable. I'm just gonna like trust my spotter and not think about how I feel. And then and then my buddy Braun was holding the camera and spotting me at the same time, and he didn't notice there was a rock in the grass that I have to kind of like go around a little bit, like around towards the edge. But I thought I was in the clear, so I started picking up speed, and my front tire hit it at speed, and I ended up with 2 wheels in the air, like leaning towards the cliff of death. And he came back. He's like, whoa, 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 whoa. And it came back down. And I'm just like, what just happened?
Like so newly saw life. Yeah, that was sketchy. That was
almost died there. Yeah, that's the spot.
Yeah. Oh man.
Not good.
So if the camera's actually level, that's crazy sketch.
This I've rotated this slightly for the thumbnail to make it look a little worse, but it is really bad.
Yeah, that's not good. I mean, and some of the other stuff you've done too, like, I mean, the landslides especially, that's something that's completely foreign territory to us in the Northeast. Like, we don't have like there's no landslide deal here, you know, like
I don't either, dude.
Chris is like we don't have mountains. Yeah,
not enough elevation change to get things to slide.
So some of the mudslides and stuff are like, they're really interesting, because the mud that comes down is basically like quicksand. So as soon as you get your tires in it, you just sink. So you're pretty much winching through it if you get into it very far. But I like a challenge.
Do you usually lead the crew when you're out on the trail?
Not necessarily. We don't really think about that too much. It's just like whatever order we happen to end up in.
I find it varies from group to group and territory to territory. Like some places people will have in like really crazy stuff, they'll either decide to have their most capable go first to see if it's even possible to make it, or like a moderately capable vehicle from their group go to like set the stage to see if the, you know, lesser vehicles are going to be able to get through. So
I don't know. We're all like, my friends and I are all pretty gung-ho for whatever. So I mean, I like to think it doesn't really matter.
Right. Get each other through.
I mean, if I'm with some guys who are less experienced and we're doing something sketchy, definitely I'll be like, sure, I'll go first. But most of the time I keep a pretty tight-knit group of people that I go out with. because we're doing crazy stuff and because we're filming and I just like to know what's going on.
Yeah, nothing puts a damper on a day in the woods like not trusting the people you're with,
Yeah.
So I get it. So where favorite couple places you've been during the YouTube channel stories here?
Well, for me, like my favorite places I've gone have been like stuff in the US that's kind of far away, like Death Valley or some of the stuff in Utah. Not necessarily the stuff that does the best on my channel because people want to see more of like BC type wheeling, right? Yeah. So whenever I go down to the US, my viewership tends to drop. But there's me on top of the world. But like that stuff's all foreign to me. So that's, I want to go out further and explore. Like I don't want to just stay in my backyard all the time. So every once in a while I gotta get out of BC. So like I think probably like my favorite place I've been is Death Valley, I think, just because it's massive out there, it's beautiful, and it's like nothing that I've ever seen before. It's definitely a lot more like touristy, but there's off-roading to be had there. Yeah.
Okay. You should come to the Northeast sometime, do some slightly different stuff.
Yeah, like what area are you in?
I'm in Connecticut, but if you go north of here, we have, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine are all quite good.
Cool. Yeah, I hope I can get out to the East Coast sometime. It's just
even
so far.
Even though the North Maine woods is probably similar scenery to BC, just because of the elevation,
Nice.
But so all right, so where else? What else is on the docket for future trips? Any like bucket list kind of places you want to go? I mean, for people in the U.S., Moab is like, box number one.
Yeah, so last year I got to Moab for the first time. I think it was in Moab twice last year, which was cool. And I'm going again. I'm not so into like the Moab trails. I don't know why I did quotation marks there. But I'm not like, those are fun, but that's my kind of off-roading again, is more like I like to explore. That's kind of where I'm at. So where would I like to go? I want to go like more north. I want to do some stuff up in northern BC, get up into the Yukon or Alaska. There's not a whole lot in Alaska as far as off-roading from what I've heard. There's just like a couple of trails that everyone kind of does. But I'm more interested in what's in like northern British Columbia and the Yukon, like really remote places where there's just not that many people off-roading to begin with. And there's like maybe some mining history and stuff like that. It's just there's such a short window to get up into those areas in the summer. And then, you're spending a week driving each way. So it's kind of like a big endeavor to get up there.
You're talking like Dempster Highway kind of stuff, like truck to the Arctic.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to go to some more like remote places up there and do some exploring. I don't want to just like, drive on the highway.
Right. I think for a lot of people, just doing the Dempster is enough adventure. It's like,
Am I sounding elite if I say that sounds boring to me?
No,
you're a little jaded.
A little
spoiled. We've already established that your level of sketchiness is different than everyone else's level of sketchiness.
Yeah, seriously.
So saying I don't want to drive the dirt road Dempster Highway is completely fine. Like
I totally do want to do that drive. I'm sure it's an awesome drive. It just that's not the kind of content that I
you could.
Like, I'm not like in like the type of overlander guy who just kind of drives on smooth roads all the time. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying anything wrong. It's just not what I do.
And your whole business model is based off YouTube's algorithm. Like you have to go more. You have to do, because if you're just the average Joe guy, you're not going to get the clicks. Like you're literally.
Well, I mean, there's 1,000 channels now doing that. So it's become a lot where you have to stand out a lot more to be successful. You can't just like put a rooftop tent on and go camping, right? Like you gotta have like something going on. So, and I mean, my thing is going kind of crazy places.
Right. You know how you could make Dempster exciting? You could do it in a Mazda Miata.
I was to say, do it in the least capable vehicle you could think of.
Dude,
a Lamborghini with a rooftop tent. There you go.
Yeah, right. Hey, Lambo's, is it Serato or Sterrato, the new like rally-ified
I don't know.
car they got coming out?
It's
I
their
don't
version
follow
of the
supercars
Safari
much.
911.
Yeah, right. Costs as much as my house.
The funny thing is, like, my Jeep now is probably worth as much as like a entry level Lambo.
Definitely pre-owned. Definitely.
Yeah, right.
A little bit
What
ridiculous.
you have anything else planned for it, or are you kind of just
Oh,
living
it's pretty like
Hemi life now?
I just kind of went all in the beginning. So I mean, right now, there's a few things that I still want to do. Like I want to get my red arc system installed and have like a full-on electrical system, which I really miss from my old truck. It's sitting on my couch over here. It's just like it's a huge undertaking to install that system, and my time is like, I go out for 3 days on the weekend usually, and then I spend another 3 days editing. And if I'm lucky, I get a day to spend with my family. So
Right.
like any kind of truck projects, I either farm out to Epic Adventure Outfitters to help me out with a great shop, a local shop here, or I have to make time for it. But other stuff I want to do, I don't know. Like the truck's pretty set up right now, so I'm pretty happy. We did like my most recent mod that I'm pretty happy with is installing a diesel heater that's like permanently mounted and like pipes into the floor of the camper. So when you pop the tent inside, there's like a vent, and it looks like a furnace vent on the floor.
That's awesome.
And I've got the controls like mounted to the roof of the tent, so I just get in there and like.
What's the coldest you've camped in?
I think like -14.
Oh my gosh.
Celsius.
Celsius. Yeah,
Yes.
Celsius. Canadian, dude. We've been talking about kilometers all morning.
It's still fucking cold one way or another.
Yeah.
It's cold.
It's like at that level of cold, you don't want to be outside anymore. It's just miserable.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, that's my favorite was Rochelle Croft. She was posting from Billings or Bozeman or whatever, the fact that it was like -40. And I was like, it literally doesn't matter what scale you use, because -40 is the same on both scales.
Yeah, that's
it's the only time it matches up.
Yeah, I don't think I could do that. So at -14, my diesel heater was having trouble keeping up with the cold. Okay. So I could only get it up to. I've since made some adjustments that should hopefully fix that problem, but I could only get my tent up to about +3. So it was still cold.
That's yeah.
At that point, you have to hope you brought the mummy bag too. Like
yeah, I did. And my diesel heater. So I had the battery that was running the diesel heater in the bed of my truck, which wasn't heated. And so the cold made the battery drain faster. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, my heater died.
Oh,
so I like buried myself in the mummy bag, and I was like, well, hopefully I don't die, and went back to sleep.
Oh man.
I mean,
that's
freezing to death is just falling asleep longer.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I was gonna have a long nap, or maybe I was gonna wake up. But yeah, it was fine actually, because I think my sleeping bag's rated for -20 or something, and I had a down jacket on inside a down mummy bag, and that was more than warm enough.
That's a lot.
So we haven't discussed yet. There's a Bronco too.
Yes, I have.
And I'm sorry, I should clarify: a Bronco also, not a Bronco 2.
Yes.
Right. Yes. The new Bronco.
Good distinction.
Yeah, very important distinction.
2022 Bronco. Yeah. So we got that again, like right when the Bronco came out, and I had all these plans for having one of the first build Broncos and kind of like replicating what I did with the Gladiator. Just, man, did that not work out. It all the supply chain shortages and COVID, and like we literally just ended up lifting it like a few months ago. And at this time, so the motor blew up on my Gladiator just after we got this. So good timing, because I had another vehicle I could make videos with, but I had this whole trip plan to go to Moab and Easter Jeep Safari and everything last year, and I ended up taking my stock Bronco Badlands. And man, there's nothing less exciting than watching a stock vehicle go wheeling. It is so boring to watch.
It's B-roll from the marketing materials.
And then you add that.
That's gonna be me.
Yeah. You add that to people, like all the people who were watching for the Gladiator on my channel, and then going from, this badass Gladiator to this stock Bronco. And I was like, well, I'm still doing the same kind of adventures, and people just weren't interested in it. So, and then, I mean, we essentially got it to be my wife's daily driver, and then we were gonna use it as both a backup vehicle and also like do some trips together where we would both drive one vehicle, and then we could have both vehicles in. And that was kind of the plan behind the whole Moab trip last year. But because we couldn't get parts, it took so long to build it, and then and everybody just complained about the Bronco every time I put it in a video, and I started getting unsubscribed just because of the Bronco.
That's so interesting.
And then at the same time, I also get all the Bronco people are subscribing to my channel, and then they only want to see the Bronco, and it just becomes this super divisive thing. So I completely regret getting the thing, although it is nice to have it's a great off-road vehicle. It's super capable, but I think it just makes more sense to focus on one vehicle.
Yeah.
Because people get so attached to the vehicle that you're driving, especially when it has a name and it's
right.
So I still want to do. I'm gonna find a way to make the Bronco cool and make people like it. I'm gonna find a way. We're just at some point we're just gonna make it super badass and
Bronco pickup.
Gladiator. I don't know if we have to chop it in half and put a truck bed on it, or we have to I don't know, but I'm not giving up on this project, but it just everything went wrong with it from day one. So
where along the line of getting Bronco, planning to modify Bronco, it becoming your wife's daily, does launching it into the air fall?
Almost immediately.
Almost, yeah, right from the start. Okay.
So we probably within a week of getting it, I hit up my buddy Bruce, who has a jump course in his backyard, because he's formerly a professional motocross athlete, and that's it right there. And I was and
that is a
he
gap.
Jumps cars in his backyard for fun. So I was like, hey, you want to jump a brand new Bronco? Well, I mean, first I asked my wife, I was like, hey, can Bruce jump your brand new Bronco? And she's like, yeah, that sounds cool. And yeah, so we just did it. We jumped it.
So we just did it.
Yep. That's some airtime.
Yeah. And hilarious. Again, something that I thought this is going to be great. People are going to love this. This video is going to blow up. One of my worst performing videos of all time, where we
really
so $1,000
vehicle.
That's just the algorithm just not making sense.
You can't
it's so
force
crazy.
Morality, unless you're Mr. Beast, I guess.
Right.
You never know how stuff's gonna do, and I don't know what exactly I did wrong here, but people just did not like this video. It's I love it. I think it's great. It's hilarious. There's a lot of vlogging type stuff going on for most of the video, because jumping over a ramp only lasts a few seconds.
Yeah.
If you're lucky. Yeah, if it goes well.
It's a fun video. I don't know. I like that video a lot.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Bruce is awesome. So
yeah, it probably the same people who came to see the Bronco are like, oh, you're abusing the Bronco. I'm not staying.
Yeah, so then I got all the people, because of the supply chain shortages, it's really hard to get a Bronco, right? And I got all the Bronco people mad at me because they're like, oh, must be nice. You're out here jumping it, and I can't even get mine. I'm like, come on, guys. I'm just trying to do something fun here.
Seriously, catch-22.
That's it is what it is. Zero damage to the Bronco, to its credit, and to the driver's credit, because he's a pro. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was a fun day.
It certainly looked like it. And also, we now have multiple show guests who have jumped Broncos, or at least Bronco tangential vehicles.
Are you talking about
Lauren and Vaughn? Yeah.
Okay. It's
I don't know if you really call those
Bronco race trucks.
Yeah.
Lauren Healy?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I was trying to.
Speaking of, Hammers is going down right now, right?
Yes. That's why all of our guests are pushed towards the end of February, because everybody's at Hammers.
Right.
I don't know. Every year people ask me to go, and I just it just looks like such a shit show. Like,
I feel like if you go with people that you know are going to be within some form of control, you'll be fine. It's all of the other jackassery that I would definitely want to hold off on.
it looks pretty well. And
Alcohol
then plus
in the
add to
middle of
that,
the
like
desert.
almost everybody I know who went last year ended up getting COVID there. So
Seriously.
The super spreader event of all super spreader events.
yeah,
But it's outdoor. No, I just
this is my favorite video I ever made right here.
Death Valley.
well
No,
that and plus it's
Mojave
recreating the
Desert.
Knight Rider theme.
Oh,
or
yeah,
intro.
Yeah, and then I did this whole thing in this video where my truck started talking to me, and we like traveled to another and went on this whole like sci-fi twist, and I just got super creative with it. Again, a video that did not perform well at all, but it's like my all-time favorite video I've ever made.
So it was worth it to you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
One way or
I
another,
would make
yeah.
that video 100 times over. I love doing like throwing a little bit of scripted stuff in sometimes for fun, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta get back into making videos. I was like, I did the same thing as you in high school. I wanted to go to film school. You know, I made movies. I did all the film for like the school productions and everything. And then it was like, oh, your chances of actually being successful with this degree is not.
Yeah. Yeah, being a successful filmmaker is like probably the hardest thing to get into. That's why YouTube's so great, because you can just kind of flex your filmmaking needs without having to be super
Right.
I don't know where I'm going. Like
Hollywood. Yeah, you don't have to be Hollywood
go
about
through
it.
Hollywood and
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
I
Well,
love
I
the
mean-
shooting. I love the planning. I love the filming. I hate the editing.
I love the editing. The edit, like
I'll ship everything to you.
I hate how time consuming it is. That's the only thing I
Right.
don't like. But the editing's where you get to tell your story, right? The editing's
Yeah.
what sets you apart from like where you're just filming something and putting like throwing it out there. It sets like I'd say the editing's the most important part of what I do.
And I mean, obviously, you know, the channel is a business for you and whatnot, but do you find that the shooting of the footage while on these adventures detracts from it at all? Or
Not at
is
all.
it just so second nature at this point?
No, yeah, it's like riding a bike now. And I mean, I'm filming like in reality, I'm filming so little of what's actually going on a 3-day trip. I'm making a 20-minute video, right? So that's like it's only a small fraction of what we're actually doing. I'm at the point where I'm kind of editing it in my head as I'm watching what's going on. So I'm like, okay, I need a shot here. I need an angle of this here. And then I just get out and do it and then get back to what I was doing. Okay. So it's, I mean, yeah, it definitely slows things down a bit as you're going. So that's another reason I like to have like a good crew with me who are familiar with how I operate. But yeah, it doesn't take away from the adventure of it for me, which is, you know, again, it's like the two things I love: adventure and making movies. So
that's awesome. Hey,
how often
power
do you,
to you for combining them?
So, how often do you not know where the trail is going to go?
Quite often, yeah. A lot of times we're like this trail here. We were just like straight up exploring. We were on this one trail that we had a route for, and we saw like this little side trail. Again, we're like, that side trail looks way more interesting than the trail that we're on. So we follow it, and the first thing we come into is like a bridge that's half collapsed. And there's like this giant hole in it. So we're like, oh, let's just, let's drive across it. And so we drive across it, and we go like, this is probably like my favorite trip from last year. And we end up here in this alpine area in this old mining road. And then we thought the road was going to end kind of up here where this big peak is. And then I'm flying around with the drone, and I see this like little trail that goes straight up to the top of the mountain and over the other side. I'm looking at the map, and on the other side is where the trail is that we were originally going to be on. So we're like, oh, let's give it a try. And we go up this steep trail. We end up right on this, like right on the edge of the top of this mountain, which was amazing. And then we drive down it, and we go down these crazy switchbacks, like these super sharp switchbacks. This is just before that. It's a section of road that slid out, and looks really cool from that angle. It's actually not.
Yeah, it does.
It's a hell of a shot, though.
It looks absolutely terrifying.
Yeah. It's actually totally safe, I'm sure. Probably not, but
Probably not.
so we go down these switchbacks and we're like no idea where we're going, but every corner, like the trail just keeps getting more and more incredible as far as views and everything. And then and these are the switchbacks here on the other side of the mountain as we're coming down. So I think like there's a mountain biking company that operates up here, and they've kind of dug out a trail system. And this trail is like for their cat or something. But yeah.
Have you done
most of the time we have no idea because
I love the first comment that says, "Nope, you fell off the cliff and this account is now haunted."
Totally. Yeah.
The ghost
Those
in the
switchbacks
passenger
were
seat.
nuts. Like it was literally straight and then straight. And I did like a 20-point turn in the Gladiator. And it was terrifying. And I love it.
Dude, over the top, the trail looks amazing though. Just rolling across the top.
How long are you generally out on these trips?
Usually on average 3 days. So I'll leave on like a Friday morning and I'll come back on Sunday evening. Yeah, for the most part. Depends how far.
Shit in 3 days. Oh my god.
Yeah, I think this one was a 4-day trip. Yeah, this one was a 4-day trip.
This is why
I also drove 14 hours to get to this location. So
yeah.
Okay.
So it's the short overall time period, but the transits to get there are hard day out.
Yeah,
hard day back.
Recently, because I have to keep going further and further to get to new places, it's like my biggest struggle. It's not uncommon for me to do like a 10-hour Thursday drive to get out somewhere.
That's all.
It's just like part of the job.
Meet west of Denver. I totally get it.
Yeah.
And then if I'm super lucky, I can make like 2 videos on if I do like 4 days or whatever and make two videos. But a lot of times because I'm telling a story, which is kind of my thing, you got to have a beginning, middle, and end. And you can't just like chop the video in the middle. People be like, what? Or
it's so mad.
Videos that continue in like multiple parts really don't do well on YouTube because you'll end up getting all these people who missed part 1 when part 2 gets recommended to them. And then they'll just click off because they're like, oh, I didn't see the first part of this. Or they don't click it because they're like, oh, I haven't seen part 1 yet.
Right.
So
where's the setup?
I have to make sure, like, so when we did the Alexander Mackenzie Trail, I did it in three parts, but I didn't say anything about part 1, part 2, part 3. I just, made them. Yep. It's definitely a part 1, part 2, part 3 if you watch it, but you can watch any one of those videos and be entertained.
That's so interesting because so many other overland channels just like, here is the beginning and here is like next section and this is where it ends. You go, okay. But yeah.
I try to do my own thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, shit, it seems to be working. So
yeah, I think so.
Keep running with it.
Hopefully it continues to work. Kind of put all my my eggs in this basket. So
yeah. Hey, it seems to be fun, I can't attest to the business side of things.
Ever changing landscape, the YouTube world and and social media in general and the advertising landscape and it's like everything's evolving all the time. And who knows how long YouTube will be the thing, right? Maybe TikTok is the future. I don't know. Sure. Hope not.
It's not.
I refuse. I have a TikTok account. It has like 1 or 2 clips on it. And I was like,
yeah, I think the most frustrating part I heard about TikTok is like they're like what 60 seconds at length. And like there are people doing car reviews on TikTok and like those people are getting invited to press launches and like
shorter attention spans, like as social media moves in that direction. And that's that's definitely one of my fears. But I think long form content will always have its place.
Yeah, I think so too.
Who knows if YouTube will always be that place? It's very tricky having your entire future dependent on Google.
Yeah,
right. I mean, eventually it gets to the point where you just hedge your bets and like you hope it's not going to fail. The same way like there's people who work their whole lives for big corporations and then
totally
like how many people were at Enron for 20 years before Enron did its Enron
and if you
thing.
lose your job, you're just kind of hooped, right?
Yeah, shit out of luck.
Yeah,
I mean, I think proof for it.
I'm at a point now probably where I would have no problem getting somebody to hire me to do their their social media or their video
Right.
production or something, like some company in the industry for sure would give me a job. So I feel fairly safe about that. And then I've tried to diversify a bit through, like, doing Patreon and something where, like, if YouTube disappeared, I would still have an audience somewhere, right?
Guys, I'll be right back. I just heard a loud crash in my house. Sorry.
We are up near the end of the show, Ross. We can.
That's not good. Let's hope he comes back.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it in because
If somebody comes back wearing a ski mask, like, what's going on here? That'll be really very concerning.
I do have his address, so I can't call 911 if we need to. Yeah, he's got a little one. She's only like, she's an infant though. She's like 6 months old, and they don't have pets. Yeah. She has been scooting around quite a bit recently. I've been in a lot of videos with her moving, so I definitely understand why he was concerned.
I'm on the edge of my seat. I want to know what
happened. Sorry about that. We're back.
The good news is I have your address if I had to call 911. So
yeah, it was the I mean, you guys probably know the table that clips into the high chair.
Yeah,
wasn't attached and plummeted from
3.5
feet. Yeah.
Cool.
So
well, sweet. We are up on it. So you didn't die.
Yep.
Yeah. I was kind of hoping it was going to be something more exciting, but
I could come running through with a bat chasing somebody.
Yeah.
We were hoping you were going to come back with a ski mask on and just like lean into the camera. Lean out.
Imagine how the views would skyrocket for your podcast if somebody with a ski mask and a gun showed up. Be on the news and everything.
Right.
Podcasters leave camera running while getting robbed.
Right. Local man murdered on screen.
I'll still clip it out. I got that kind of skill.
You could edit it. You could like overlay that onto the
ruthless
with the Benny Hill theme in the background.
Never heard from again.
I'm out. That's it.
Well, sweet. I'm gonna wrap up the show.
Yeah.
So you can rate and review this show wherever you listen to podcasts. You can like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can like and subscribe to Shaun's YouTube channel, The Story Till Now. Sure. And you're the Story Till Now everywhere. Like, you're one of the only people that got all of their names correct.
Yeah, because I spelled it stupid.
Oh, because you didn't go with until?
Yeah, because that sounds kind of stupid, right? And it looks kind of stupid. I don't know. Honestly, I hate the name. I shouldn't say this. I don't hate the name of my channel, but I hate that I didn't put more thought into it, because I called it that because I didn't know what the channel was about. It's just going to be about whatever. I'm like, it's my story until right now.
Right.
Yeah.
It leaves you room to pivot.
You don't expect your YouTube channel to like turn into your whole life.
That's true. But so, hey, if you ever find a new hobby or something else to put on the channel, there you can roll right in. And then you're not doing, like, I don't know, fucking music videos, and it's something overland,
You're out there and you're going to start a YouTube channel. Be smart. Just name it your name.
Yeah.
I was to say, we're not all Doug DeMuro nailed it. You can follow the Hooniverse on Twitter, the Real Hooniverse on Instagram. Ross is Not Like the One from Friends, and I'm at Overlanding Dad, and we've done a show. Thank you so much, Shaun.
Thanks, Shaun.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun. I had a great time, and let's get together and mow.
These are always my favorite episodes with people we've never really met before, because I'm like, we're either going to have a great time or it's going to be a weird time.
Yeah. Yep. I hope it was both.
A little bit of both. A little bit of both. It's good.
That's what we're all about.